Well, welcome everyone. I thank y'all for coming back this week. This week we're going to work on a Scrappy project. What we're making are crazy quilt pumpkins. Now, I cut this one using a pink and shear, and what I did was I did just use my leftover scraps of batting on the back, and I sewed directly onto this instead of using a stabilizer, and it is really nice. These, I have a different idea for this. So this one does have the batting in between. That's what I sewed it to. And then I sewed a piece of scrap fabric to the back to form these. I did cut out some stems out of fabric and I put it on this one. And to be honest, I'm learning how to crochet. I'm not great at it, but I just kind of did a little freeform crochet here, and I just made some little stems. Nothing specific. I just did some chain stitches. Some of them have triple crochet, some of them double, some have half double, some are all chain. Just whatever I felt like. It was a combination just to make something a little wonky, a little strange shaped. Um, for my stems. I didn't want them to all be the same. So let's get started here. The first thing you need to do is you need the shape of a pumpkin. Now, what I did was I just drew a pumpkin. I went online and I typed in pumpkin drawing, and then I just kind of used the guideline to draw my own free form. Now, you can print your own. You can go on there and type in pumpkin line drawing and print you out something and use that. I just used a little bit of a, remember I told you I had that. I had some watercolor paper that was really poor quality that came from Walmart. I use that sometimes. And then sometimes I had bought those comic book boards to wrap my fabric on, and I have too much fabric and it took up too much space, so I didn't end up using them for that. So I have a lot of that kind of thicker paper, and I just traced them on there and cut them out. And then once you do that, you got you like a template here. I did several different ones. I did several different shapes because pumpkins come flat and wide. They come a little taller. They come all different ways. So you draw the kind of pumpkin you like. You might like the little short, fat ones. You might like the tall, narrower ones. You might like the weird shaped ones. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a pumpkin. And they come in all different ways. And it's nature. And nature is definitely not consistent in the way that it looks. I just drew out several things for stems. Just weird shapes, just looking. Now, most of these I probably won't end up using. But once I got my shape, then I took it and I put the shape, let's just use this one for an example, because I want to make one like this. I want a piece of batting. This is just scrap batting. I tend to have a lot of this because the way I buy batting ends up leaving me a lot of scrap. I don't think it really matters which side you use. But if it matters to you, use the side that you prefer. I'm going to use this side up because it's a little smoother and it'll be easier for me to draw. I got me one of my friction pens. You can use whatever you want. I wanted something that was going to erase once I got through sewing, but I don't really know if that much matters because you're going to be sewing over this. And I just drew around the edge. And that is what I'm going to use for my bases to sew with. Now, I did this one here, and I did 4, 5 like this. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with those in a minute. Anyway, so I got this one, has no backing. We're going to put it on something. Now, these here, I made these similar in the same colorway. I did not put a backing on these because I'll show you what I'm going to do with those in a bit. And these are my stems I made for these. None of the stems are the same, and I didn't want them to be the same. If we're going to do scrappy pumpkins, we might as well make odd stems, right? So I'm going to set these to the side for a little bit later project. I've already got these worked up in a project. I'll show y'all that in a moment. I just want you to see you can put a backing on it if you want to for, like I said, anything there. I made this one yesterday. I did not put a backing on it Now this one, these I used the pumpkin shears on. This I just straight cut and left it. And this one I cut so it would be kind of raggy. I'm not going to make it too raggy yet because I haven't put it on anything. But once I put it on something, I can take and brush that edge up a little bit and make it kind of fluffy. And I made this stem for this one, which might be a little bit too big. I don't know. We'll see. And I'm going to put that on the side. So we're going to make one together here, y'all. Let's just make one like this. And I'm going to use my scraps. I have in this box here my aqua scraps. And you can do your pumpkins in any color. White, beige, orange, teal, green, yellow, I don't know, whatever your gray, whatever your home decor is, or whatever color you want to wear. I mean, it's your pumpkin. Make it purple. If you wanted to make it more Halloweenish, you could go back and add some jack-o'-lantern eyes and a mouth or something to it. I just like to decorate for fall in the beginning of October and leave it there until I'm ready to put up Christmas. So I'm not going to jack-o'-lantern anything. So I'm just going to grab me a piece of fabric. Maybe we'll start with something kind of light. And I don't know if you've watched my crazy quilt video, but if you haven't, you may want to go back and watch that. I usually start with a piece that's somewhat of a square, and then I chop a side off to give me 5 sides. Now, I'll be honest, when I did that with these little teeny weeny ones here, it didn't really turn out 5-sided too much because that one chopped off side really doesn't look like it once you sew the fabric on there. But, you know, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. And then don't put it perfectly square where everything just runs around like a log cabin. Give it a little character. Turn it on the side. Turn it upside down. Whatever. Make it have a little oomph to it. Okay? The next thing I do, I'm going to choose another piece. And this is just all scraps. This just happens to be what's laying on top. And I'm going to sew it. Choose a side. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to choose this side. Now, on this end, we can line it up pretty even. I will be honest, I am not sewing with a perfect 1/4 inch. You can sew with a perfect 1/4 inch. You can trim to a perfect 1/4 inch. I'm not worried about it because I'm using batting, and that's giving me a little bit of thickness anyway. I know the end of this piece of fabric is about right here. So you can do it one of 2 ways. You can sew it and stop and then trim, or we can just trim it in the beginning like this, which is what I'm going to go ahead and do. And I'm just going to sew that line. I see I don't even have my 1/4 inch foot on because it's just not necessary. I am going to backstitch, not because I need to, but because I didn't put my needle down in the right spot. If you were going to trim to a 1/4 inch, just remember you're going to need to fold all this back in order to do that, because if not, you're going to cut off your backing and you're not going to like that. I'm not going to be concerned about it. Now, because it's batting, it just kind of sticks there. So I'm going to go ahead and just finger press that real nice and flat. I don't want the piece quite that large. So I'm just going to do a little trim. I'm not going to hit it with the iron like I normally would because I have this as heat erasable marker here. And this isn't my cut line, so to speak, but it is my guideline. I need to be at least on the outside of this line all the way around for my pumpkin to be fully covered when I get ready to actually cut it out. So since I did this one, if you're left-handed, you'd probably go this way. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to turn it this way. And I'm just going to choose another piece. This looks like a good piece here. I'm going to test it. If I turn it this way, it's more than enough to cover this little piece of my original and this piece I just added. So I'm just going to chop me off a little piece there. Lay it down here, make sure it covers it. Now, since I did that, you see that they had this much of the original one sticking out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a little tug. You can use your scissors, or you can leave it in there if you want to. I'm going to pull mine out. And I'm just going to loosen those few stitches there. And I'm just going to kind of trim it a little bit closer to the original seam allowance. And then I'm going to fold this back like this. Get that a little pressed. Now my next line is going to be this diagonal line across here. So I'm going to need a piece that's going to cover from here all the way to here. And let's see what we got, if we got something on top. We're not really in this tone. We could be this tone, but let's keep going what we got. I like this one. So let's use a piece of this. Let's turn it this way. I'm going to cover just a little bit past that, and I'm going to line it up where it runs along that diagonal there, like that. And then I'm going to sew from here all the way to here. Now, I know you may know how to do this, and if you do, stick around to the end or fast forward closer to the end, because I got to tell y'all, I got some great ideas on how to utilize these in decor and gifts. So now that I have this piece on, my next piece is actually this little short straight line right here, and it's going to go from here to here. So let's choose something for that. Is this too awful? Probably not. Oh, let's use this one. It's kind of Christmassy. It don't matter. What does it matter? It's a scrap quilt, right? So let's put it from here to here. Now I have this big old piece here hanging out because, you know, just the way it sews. I'm just going to trim this out. Sorry, I can't do it any other way. My hand's just there. And I'm going to put this in this position. And if you can believe it, we're just now getting to the bottom of the first side. So let's take this piece here, and it should be more than enough to cover this, because what we're really working off is this original piece here, okay? So we're lining it up here, not out here. This one's not enough. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to open this up. Now, if I wanted to, I could leave this piece here and it would cover all the way up to there. But there wouldn't be a great big amount of variety in my pumpkin if I leave a piece this big on a piece this small. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to trim this back just a little bit. Not going to be concerned with how it's shaped. And there we go. All right. So now we're going to work on this piece because this was the second piece. So we're working on this straight edge here. And we're going to have a piece that goes from here all the way to here. I need something a little longer. Oh, let's use this one. This ought to be different. Yeah, I just want to kind of get that angle. This is a little long. I'm going to go ahead and just snip the I'm just snipping the thread. So y'all might want to use a seam ripper. And I'm just going to trim it kind of even with the original piece there. Not worried about exactness right now because I don't think that's going to matter. This project's more about just being creative, letting it go, not worrying about rules, just having a little fun. Every once in a while, you got to get out of that structure and just let your mind go. And that way you can become creative again. Okay, so let's just leave that there. And we're going to open this up. Now, guys, this is going to be to about right here. And I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to trim that back. I'm going to let that finish that side of my pumpkin. Okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead and finish out this side and put the piece up here. We may can adjust the pumpkin over a little bit and this won't matter. But when you're cutting this out, you don't want the edge of your pumpkin right on that edge, okay? That won't be good. You won't be happy with that. You're going to want to have it a different way, which, let's just face it, the pumpkin doesn't have to go just the way you drew it. Once you get all your fabric on there, you can adjust it completely. Let's look at this side here. See, now I cut that so crooked right there, right? It's just terrible looking. So what we're going to do with that one is we're just going, will this work? Yes, this will work. We're just going to choose this a straight line. We're not going to worry about it. Just going to make sure it covers that and covers this seam here. I'm going to cut this out. Mostly I'm going to cut this one out because it's a little darker and I wouldn't want it to, the shadow to bleed through. I don't think any of that will happen on this, but if you were using really light fabrics, it might could. Okay, so now we're going to finger press that one in place. And the edge of the pumpkin is here. Now our next spot is going to be across here. Okay, so we need something there. And I think we need something pretty there. So let me find something I like to put there, which I think I have something in mind. Let me see. How would a piece of this look there? Is it too bright? I don't think so. We're going to use this piece there. Yeah, can we use, oh, this is better. It's a shorter edge. So I'm just going to lay this across here, on here like this. Now I'm going to open this up like this. Give this a little trim over here. So let's look at this, because we got that corner down there while the iron is heating up. Are we going to be happy with it like that? I don't think so. I think I'm going to go in here and add a little piece. I don't know why. I probably won't use much of it, so I'm probably just going to use a piece of this here. We'll use this end. But I just don't like that. When I'm adding this piece, I can do it any way I want, any angle. I just want to make sure that the 1/4 inch is going to be on the inside of this point here. So I can just do it like this. I could do it more like that. And I think I am. I think I'm going to do it like that. Okay, so there we go. So I just want to make sure when I draw my pumpkin piece that it's going to be in the batting, okay? Now we can put it, like I said, any way we want. This is how it was probably originally put on there. But we can tilt this a little bit, which I think I might like more. I can make this the top. I think I might want that to be the top. So maybe I'll tilt it like, nope, I like it the other way better, like this. This is going to be my final. I'm going to tell you why. Because if I draw it like this, I get more solid pieces around the edge, which is easier to deal with in the end. So now all mine didn't turn out that way. My first few were not that way, and it didn't make me any difference. But once I started cutting on them, I realized, oh, it would be so much easier if it had more of a solid piece there. Again, this is a friction pen, so it is heat erasable. That's why I feel confident drawing around like that with such a dark color. And there we go. So that's our line. I don't know if you can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut about a 1/4 inch on the outside of this line. And then when I choose the project that I want to put this on, if I decide I want to do the pink and shears, I'll come back and trim on that line. If I decide that I want to do the edge like this, I'll come back and sew on the line and then trim it to the line. Or if I decide that I just want to sew on the line, I don't think I heat pressed this one. So let's do that. Yep, the line didn't disappear. Okay, there we go. The line disappeared now. Or if I just want to do a line around it and nothing, I'll still come back and sew on the line. So I'm going to just allow myself a little space. But I want y'all to get the gist of how it's going to look. And look, don't say I can't draw. Just go online and find you a drawing. I'm sure somebody you know can draw the shape of a pumpkin. Just ask your grandbabies or ask your children. They're not intimidated like we are when we get older and we let things intimidate us. Think it's got to be right all the time. We don't. Be yourself. Have fun. Loosen up. I'm just going to put a little glue stick on that just to hold it in place so it don't get all flip-floppy on me or whatever. You don't have to do this. This is just me. That's what I do. I think because I ran the embroidery machine so much and I just use the glue stick for everything with that thing. So, okay. So this is this one. So guys, I'm just going to make me a couple more. I have a few more I want to make and because I want to show you some different things with them. But once I get them all made, I will meet y'all at the big cutting table and I will have a whole list of projects. Okay, so here at the table, I'm fixing to show you all kind of ideas I have for these applique pumpkins, crazy quilt applique pumpkins. I kind of stretched the imagination, and there's a lot of ideas. But I'm trying to think of ways we can really use up our scraps, not only around our own house. A lot of people like to bring like housewarming gifts or hostess gifts or whatever to parties they attend. And sometimes, you know, everybody brings whatever, and this will be unique for you. All right, so let's get started. Let's look down here. So this is just a few of the pumpkins I made. Now, I did not put backs on all the pumpkins. I only put backs on these little ones here, and I'll show you what I did with them in just one moment. But you can put a back on any of these. All you have to do before you ever cut the pumpkin out is lay it down on a piece of backing that is as big as the pumpkin and stem, and then pin it on there. Draw your line with your template, and then just draw it. Sew on the line, and then you can cut it out and you have it backed. No big deal. If you wanted to use this for something like a trivet, you might want to put some thinsulate in there, or you might want to put some of this this cork, that fabric cork I showed y'all in that other video. I think it was the one on the picnic table cover, just about a month and a half ago. That might be a good option, but no matter what you choose, let's just go over some ideas, okay? So first of all, let me just move all these out the way. I have these placemats here, and they're in my kitchen, and I really thought these little light colored beige ones would be cute on there. Not only that, they would even be cute on top of the lace trim that's on them. These are store-bought. Don't think that you have to make all this. If you want to make it, you got the fabric, awesome. If you don't have the time, but you've got scraps and you've got time to make little pumpkins, now you can take something store-bought, doctor it up a little bit, and make it a homemade gift. We can put it on some kitchen towels. Now I have these gray ones here. My house has got a little more gray in it than beige, but it doesn't matter what color your house is. Your house can be purple, and you can do purple pumpkins. Who cares? It's your house. Do what you like. That's the point. So I have these here. So on these, I could put an aqua. I could put a gray. Either one. I think orange might stand out too much. The beige even would work on these if you wanted it to. So towels. These just came from the dollar store, general dollar store. You could, if you have some cloth napkins, these, I'm gonna tell you what, cloth napkin is great, but a lot of times people put these in their little baskets, and they put their bread or their dinner rolls in it. Wouldn't that be pretty? And then you just have one of these little pumpkins sewn onto just one corner, and you served your bread in that, or you gave the bread as a gift. For a gift, and you had this little pumpkin sewed on a napkin. Okay, so that's a thought. And then I just wanted to show y'all, if you had these kind of towels, you could use the little pumpkins on this. This towel would be cute with a couple little pumpkins maybe stacked, or some side by side, maybe like that. Something like that would just unique, make it unique. Also, these bigger ones here, you can use them. Now, I couldn't find a shirt I wanted to own at this point, so we're going to use an old shirt. But if you wanted a pumpkin on your front, of course, you wouldn't really want a V-neck if you were going to use a pumpkin that big, because, well, it might end up being on your belly, and that might not be attractive. But you could use it on the front. But I also thought, if you took the pumpkins and you just went right along the tail of the shirt, and you just put a little pumpkin on the tail of the shirt, or a couple little pumpkins. Maybe you got 3 kids or a couple of grandchildren or something like that, and you just want to put a little representation of your grandchildren or your children on the edge of your shirt. That's a neat idea. Also, if you want to hand sew it, I guess you could do it on the arm. I don't want to hand sew. Not bad anyway. You could take the back, and you could put some pumpkins going down the back of your shirt. And that would be a nice touch from the back side. Okay, so that's that. So I have scarves in several different colors and different fabrics. Now these scarves have been embroidered because, like I said, I've used to use an embroidery machine a lot. It's sad, I only got one baby left here, Cupcake. Cowboy's gone and Bolt's gone. But I wouldn't do it on this one. I'm just using this for color, okay? But you could take and you could put a pumpkin on just the bottom of one of your scarves. I'd put it pretty close to the bottom so it wouldn't interfere when you're, wouldn't interfere when you're wrapping it and stuff. And I wouldn't put this giant one here because I just think that would interfere with it. But something like this. So that's another idea. Now I have this scarf here. I didn't know if orange would look decent on this or not. No. So maybe a beige. Ooh, let me see here. The gray might look okay on that. I think the aqua would just be hideous. And of course, white would probably be really pretty, but this one's just way too big. But just giving you some ideas. Also, I don't know if they still have them. It's been a few years since I bought this one. I'll just show you this end. But these polar fleece scarves used to be fairly inexpensive to purchase. And something like that with just a little pumpkin sewed right on the bottom. How nice is that? Just something, a little touch of the holidays. What about a jean jacket? Or any kind of jacket. Look how cute that would be on that jacket. Just one little piece on the front. Or if you wanted to put something on the back, you could line a few of them up. I think I like the beige ones the most. Y'all see that? You could line up some little pumpkins across the top. Or you could put a big pumpkin right in the middle. Up to you. Okay? You can decorate that up a little bit. Pre-bought aprons. You can dress them up. These came from Amazon. Now, if you want to make your own aprons, make your own aprons. My mother makes beautiful aprons. But if you don't want to make them, pre-made ones are fine. Then you applique this on it. Now you've personalized it. This one has a pocket, but let's pretend that it didn't. Let's flip it over and pretend it didn't have a pocket. If you made these in the right size, you could put this on here a little bigger and make this a pocket. That's kind of cute. Or to one side, make a little taller, wider pocket, but make it look like a pumpkin, and then you could applique that on there. Now, if you have some ideas that I haven't mentioned, please put them in the comments below because it'd be great to hear them. By the way, if you're curious, this bigger pumpkin is 9.5 inches tall with the stem, 7 without it, and 10 inches wide. These little ones are 4 inches wide, 3 inches tall, and the stems are about 1 inch. This little aqua one is 5 inches by 5 inches tall by 6 inches wide. The stem's about 2 inches. And the little squatty one here, that's 7 inches wide by 4 3/4, and it also has about a 2-inch stem, just in case you're curious. And I just drew those guys. I did not go out and buy that or anything like that. So the other thing I did with them, the reason I put a back on my little orange ones, I made a garland. Now this rope here, I got from Walmart in the rope section. And all you're going to do is just grab you a little stitch in your crochet and just pull it through to where you want it to be. And it pretty much stays. You could use this on a shelf, on a tree, on a mantle, just anywhere. And I thought that'd be a nice little decorative touch, maybe over a door. I don't know. A lot of people are more creative when it comes to that stuff than I am. But I liked it with the crochet because it kind of stays where it's supposed to be. But you could tack these on a piece of torn strip of fabric to make it a little more rustic. If you didn't want to crochet the stem, I would say maybe sew a jump ring or something like that to the back. and should work out okay. Now let me look at my list. I had several things on here. I'm going to read them. I know I've done showed a lot of these, but top of a shirt, front of a shirt, bottom of a shirt, back of a shirt, jacket, a scarf. Oh, the leg of your jean. You could applique just one little pumpkin on the leg of your jean. That would look really neat. Apron, hand towels, table runner. We didn't do a table runner. Placemats, trivets, napkin rings. Okay, what could we do for a napkin ring? So you could take one of these little smaller size ones. You could finish the back like these. And then you could sew a rubber band, like a hairband, on the back. And then that hairband could be what you wrap up your napkin and stick it in there. So just thinking. Mug rugs, garland, coasters. Of course, it's a quilting channel, and I didn't show any quilts because next week I'm going to show you how to take these pumpkins, the larger ones, and I'm going to fix them in a way that is going to make it seasonal. Let's call it seasonal. So next week, I'm going to have a little quilt and a little pillow cover. We're going to make a little quilt and a little pillow cover. So I hope y'all will join me for that. And I hope it wasn't overwhelming with all this. I didn't mean to be overwhelming. But I just thought this was really exciting because it was a way to just use up scraps and have lots of fun and do lots of things that maybe you don't normally do. And just free up some space in your mind, free up some space in your cabinets. And maybe in the meantime, you can make something. Maybe you can make them small and make a necklace out of them. I don't know. Think about it. Put it in the comments. I know y'all got great ideas. Pin. These like these, a little bit smaller. Make it a little pin. I mean, it's all kind of things. I had put it on a hair barrette. Just fun stuff. And that's what we're here for. Just to be innovative, to make your mind think of things you want to do with stuff. Because you may do so many other art forms that you hadn't thought about. And you say, oh, I can add this in, and this is great for me. It's been a year, and it's been a great year. But it has been a whole year of posting videos every week. And I find that I got a little burnout in the last couple of weeks because I've let a lot of stuff in my life go because I'm anxious to get that video done, hoping that I get more subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, but you're watching me diligently, please just take a moment for me and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. So this is what I've decided. I don't like all that pressure. It felt very pressured. I did that to myself. Y'all didn't do that to me. I did that to myself. So what I'm going to ask is y'all bear with me. I'm not going to necessarily post on the same day every week. It'll be different days of the week. I don't even know if I'll do a whole video every week. Some weeks I may do one. Some weeks I may do two. Some weeks it might be 9 or 10 days. I'm not really sure how it's going to pan out. But I don't cook anymore. I don't do any of the things that I'm used to doing. And I can see that my family and we got to adjust and make things more conducive. And I think if I free myself up from some of this, then I will be more productive for y'all and come up with greater ideas. I hope you don't mind. It's not that I'm not doing it because I love it. And I really do want to get one out every week. But sometimes things come up and then, or a project don't work out right. And I get real frustrated and real upset over it. And I don't want to live like that. You know, that's not right I mean, it's YouTube. I'm not making a living at this. I don't ask y'all for money. I don't ask you to buy things to keep my channel going. I just ask you to watch me. Watch me, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. That's all I ask of you. I do have a little Etsy store, but that's because I had that Bee Garden quilt block that I had designed, that pattern. I want what I do to bring you joy. Y'all be blessed. Have a great week. Be yourself. Let your creativity flow out of you, come out of you, be put out in the world, and let people enjoy who you were made to be. And don't let the restrictions and the rules of arts, crafts, painters, whatever your form of outlet is, control you. Be creative. Let your creativity come forward. Don't let other people's creativity or rules restrict your creativity or rules. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Y'all gonna love what we're gonna do with these pumpkins next week. Bye.